Sacco and Felice, New York and New Jersey's premier attorneys at law. Their team brings decades of experience across a wide range of practice areas. Whatever life brings, they're your legal team. From everyday matters to complex cases, they've got you covered with the experience you need and the results you want. Because when life gets complicated, they make it simple. SaccoFelice.com. SACCOFILLAS.com. 2 C's, 2 L's.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, April 2nd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Rain this morning, clouds this afternoon, much cooler than it was yesterday. The high just 50. Tonight and overnight, cloudy, low 42. And then Friday morning, clouds. Afternoon sun for the Yankee home opener, the high 64. If you are walking out the door with us right now, 47 and cloudy in New Rochelle up in Westchester. It's 46 and cloudy in Egg Harbor over in New Jersey. And it's 48 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
A baby shot to death in Brooklyn. Her killer is on the loose. A split decision in the Jonathan Diller trial in Queens. The president asks Americans for a few more weeks to finish the war. Another whale washes up on the local beach. And we'll tell you why a Long Island teen and his mom are heroes. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. An explosive verdict reached last night. Murder of hero NYPD cop Jonathan Diller, with the jury acquitting the shooter of the top charge of first-degree murder and settling on manslaughter. 36-year-old Guy Rivera, who fatally shot the officer and married dad outside a cell phone store in Queens 2 years ago, convicted on all of the lesser charges, including aggravated manslaughter, attempted murder of Diller's partner, and a bunch of weapons raps.
The jury found Guy Rivera not guilty of murder, but guilty of attempted murder and manslaughter. The verdict came after less than a day of deliberations. Earlier Wednesday, jurors announced a decision, but one juror expressed doubts when being polled by the judge, so the jury went back to work for another hour or two. Rivera shot Officer Jonathan Diller during a 2024 traffic stop in Jamaica, Queens. Rivera faces 90 years to life at sentencing April 27th. In New York, I'm Andrew Whitman.
Over to Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Just a shocking scene there. A 7-month-old baby sitting in a stroller, shot to death on a busy Brooklyn street middle of the afternoon.
The baby girl was shot and killed just before 1:30 p.m. near the corner of Humboldt and Moore Streets in Williamsburg. Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch says video shows 2 males on a scooter were involved.
The male sitting at the rear of the moped can be seen taking out a gun and discharging at least 2 rounds towards the southwest corner.
One suspect is in custody on an unrelated charge. A massive manhunt is underway for the other. Mayor Zoran Mamdani.
We cannot accept this as normal in our city.
Tisch says she believes this senseless tragedy is gang-related. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
We're going to hear from some eyewitnesses to that crime coming up after 5:30. Did you watch the president's speech to the nation last night? President Trump saying he intends to bomb the Iranian regime back to the Stone Ages for 2 to 3 weeks more before ending the war. He urged the Americans to view the conflict as an investment for future generations.
As we speak this evening, it's been just 1 month since the United States military began Operation Epic Fury, targeting the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, Iran. From the very first day I announced my campaign for president in 2015, I have vowed that I would never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
The president, in a speech from the White House, says Iran has been decimated, can no longer threaten the U.S. with the promise of a nuclear weapon.
In these past 4 weeks, our armed forces have delivered swift, decisive, overwhelming victories on the battlefield. Tonight, Iran's Navy is gone. Their Air Force is in ruins. Their leaders, most of them, terrorist regime they led, are now dead. After rebuilding our military during my first term, We have by far the strongest military anywhere in the world.
And President Trump telling Americans last night that the U.S. in the end wants peace around the world.
We're now totally independent of the Middle East, and yet we are there to help. We don't have to be there. We don't need their oil. We don't need anything they have, but we're there to help our allies.
And the president last night talking about those skyrocketing gas prices that are raising prices of other things as well. He says the rise in those gas prices, he claims, are the fault of Iran.
Many Americans have been concerned to see the recent rise in gasoline prices here at home. This short-term increase has been entirely the result of the Iranian regime launching deranged terror attacks against commercial oil tankers in neighboring countries that have nothing to do with the conflict.
He promised those gas prices would rapidly come back down, while stock prices also, he says, will rapidly go back up once this conflict ends. He didn't give a definite date, and you can make the argument, why would he give the enemies a definite date to the end of the war, but suggested that this will all end in the next 2 to 3 weeks. 5:05, let's bring it back home, go down to Florida, down at the Kennedy Space Center last night.
3, 2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
NASA launching Artemis II for the historic trip around the moon. The massive SLS rocket and the Orion spacecraft launched from Florida's Kennedy Space Center. This was about 6:35 last night. 4 astronauts on board. First crewed mission to the moon since 1972. They're scheduled to circle the moon on April 6th. Last night, they gave an update on how everything went. Here's a NASA administrator saying the spacecraft did experience a brief communications issue right after launch.
The uplink from Capcom to the crew was being heard by the crew, but we cannot hear the responses for a brief period of time.
There was also no video feeds from the Orion for several minutes. They worked this whole thing out. In fact, actually, there was an issue with the toilet and a water valve, so they're going to have to troubleshoot that in space now. But the crew is safe, secure, and apparently in great spirits.
Now, about 51 minutes into the flight, during a planned handover between satellites, the Orion spacecraft underwent a communications issue, leading to a temporary partial loss of comms. NASA astronauts Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, mission specialist Christina Koch, and Canadian Space Agency mission specialist Jeremy Hansen are safe, they're secure, and they're in great spirits.
Yeah, and the Artemis II crew offering its first update last night from orbit, describing the early moments of this mission to the moon.
It was an amazing ride uphill. The views, we've got 2 moon rises that we've had so far.
Mission Commander Reed Wiseman there spoke during a video call last night about 3 hours after the launch. His remarks came ahead of a key test known as the Proximity Operations Demonstration. That's when the Orion capsule separates from the upper stage and pilot Victor Glover puts in through a series of maneuvers that mimic docking on future Artemis missions. More from Reed Wiseman last night.
The views of planet Earth. We've circled it completely, and we forgot how beautiful it is to look down on Earth.
Yeah, if you watched this last night, it was a very cool moment. So the goal of this Artemis program is to establish a sustainable human presence on the moon for scientific discovery someday for future human missions to places like the moon and Mars. It's also so we can stake claim on the moon at some part, make it ours, because China is essentially in this race to get there before we do. This is a 10-day test flight that will conclude with a splashdown off the coast of San Diego in California. All right, 5:07, first check of traffic and transit on the 7s on this Thursday. What's today, Thursday? Yes, it is. Yeah, on this Thursday morning. Must have been an exciting night in your family, too, Joe, because your wife's son is involved with NASA, correct?
We had it on all day. We had the NASA feed on all day in the house, and it was really, really very cool to watch it. And he's not even 30 years old. He had no idea about Apollo. I shouldn't say no idea. That's not right. But he wasn't even close to being born when Apollo went up. So this was a very exciting day for him, and being part of it and being down there. He watched it live from the Cape. I mean, it was incredible. Absolutely incredible. Great
and
day.
Is he down actually in the Kennedy Space Center?
He works in that building. You know where they come out? The astronauts come out. He works in that building.
Wow, that is very cool.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. I said to his mother yesterday, I said to Marianne yesterday, I said, look, that's where Avery works. works. That's where he works.
No, it is really, that's very exciting.
He's not even my kid, and I'm excited about him. As excited about it as she was. But,
of course.
maybe
That's
a little
really
more, actually.
Yeah. Well, now you got to go down and take a tour, and he can give you a first-hand look at it all.
I cannot wait to do that. That's going to be really cool. I've been to the Johnson Space Center. I've never been to the Cape. So
it's well worth the trip. And, of course, when you have an exclusive inside tour like that, that's even cooler.
Yeah, it'll be even really cooler. Yeah. So,
WABC News Time 510. Republicans say they are united now in a new plan to fund the Department of Homeland Security.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says Republicans will pass the Senate bill that funds DHS minus ICE and Customs and Border Protection. This after Senate Majority Leader John Thune agreed to fast-track a reconciliation measure that funds ICE and CBP that doesn't require Democrat support. President Trump has endorsed the deal, even though the House and Senate are currently out on Easter recess. The measure could be passed through smaller pro forma sessions in both chambers on Thursday. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Supreme Court appears skeptical of President Trump's order ending automatic birthright citizenship. That, according to White House correspondent, lawyer John Decker, who pointed to when Solicitor General D. John Sauer argued we're in a new world now where 8 billion people are one plane ride away, I should say, from having a child who's a U.S. citizen.
And the Chief Justice John Roberts pointed out, yes, the world has changed, but the Constitution has not.
No, so Decker was inside the Supreme Court on Wednesday for oral arguments. He says he wouldn't be surprised if the justices rule 6-3, 7-2, or even 8-1 against President Trump when they announce their decision later this summer. President Trump, he was in the gallery yesterday, becoming the first sitting president to attend oral arguments at the High Court. Decker called the president's appearance surreal, adding he seemed very attentive while listening to the arguments.
The president was very attentive throughout the time that he was in the court. He left after about an hour and 15 minutes, but I'm sure the president was not pleased with how things were going. Well, it was the first time that a sitting president has attended oral arguments at the Supreme Court, and it was surreal to see President Trump in the courtroom.
Yeah, other people describing it as that way as well, just as John Decker did there. And Supreme Court, there's still reaction to this ruling about Colorado's ban on conversion therapy. Democrats in Colorado say they're still shocked by that ruling, adding that conversion therapy causes depression, anxiety, even suicidal actions in kids.
Having a person of trust do harm to you psychologically, thinking that you need to be fixed.
The Supreme Court ruled earlier this week against Colorado's ban on conversion therapy. In an 8-1 decision, the High Court sided with Colorado Springs conservative Christian therapist Kaylee Childs that her free speech rights were violated by the ban. The decision overturns a 2019 Colorado law and could impact similar bans in 20 other states.
Kids who are wanting to regain comfort with their bodies and live consistently with their sex will now have more freedom to seek help from counselors like Kaylee.
So now Colorado officials say they're reviewing the ruling, considering what their next move might be. 513, lawyers representing Charlie Kirk's accused killer are requesting more time to process the bullet that ended his life.
The lawyers said in a recent filing that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives could not identify the bullet recovered during the autopsy, and added that the FBI is conducting a second bullet analysis that hasn't been completed. They also said they need 60 days to determine what could be missing from a review of digital evidence. Prosecutors have charged Tyler Robinson with aggravated murder for shooting the conservative activist in the neck during a Turning Point USA event at Utah Valley University last September. Robinson hasn't entered a plea. I'm Wendy Swanson.
Let's go down to Florida, where the governor there, Ron DeSantis, he was in the Villages yesterday signing a bill that would require voters to provide proof of citizenship when registering to vote and present a photo ID when casting a ballot. This is the same kind of bill they're trying to pass in Washington. He's going to do it in Florida.
Which is the Florida version of the SAVE Act, which will bolster our election integrity measures.
This means in Florida, a driver's license will now include whether or not a person is a U.S. citizen. It also requires all voting to be done on paper ballots, so there's a paper trail.
Our Constitution in the state of Florida says only American citizens are allowed to vote in our elections. And so we need to make sure that that is the law. The bill also requires all voting to be done using paper ballots, allowing for a verifiable hard copy in the event of a recount.
Now, critics worry it will disenfranchise eligible voters who are unable to meet those bill's demands, but the law that takes effect on January 1st. In a moment, we'll tell you about a former CNN star who's thinking about making a run for the White House. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Ellick. Uh-oh, microphone's not working? Try that other desk. Uh-oh, there's a moment here. No mic working. How about that mic? The host mic, is that working?
How about now?
No, there you go.
Now you got me loud and clear.
I was getting nervous I was going to get my sports.
All right. Now we got another issue here on a Thursday morning to deal with. How about that co-host microphone? All right. Anyway, that's a problem for a little bit later on, I guess. This is
it's always something.
Justin Ellick here with your sports update. We'll start in Seattle. Nome. Cam Schlittler pitched shutout ball into the seventh inning, and Paul Goldschmidt hit a 3-run homer as the Yankees beat the Mariners 5-3, taking the series 2-1. Ben Rice also homered and had an RBI double for the Yankees, who finished 5-1 on their West Coast trip to begin the season. Schlittler yielded 2 hits in 6 1/3 innings and retired his last 16 batters, extending his scoreless start to the season. He struck out 7 and walked none on 79 pitches. 58 of them were strikes. The Yankees play their home opener tomorrow afternoon against the Miami Marlins after an off day today. In St. Louis, the Mets lost 2-1 in 11 innings in the rubber game finale of their 3-game set against the Cardinals. New York went 1 for 29 with runners in scoring position during the series, including 0 for 11 in the finale. Mets are batting 162 in those situations this year. Juan Soto homered for the Mets in the 6th, and Freddie Peralta was charged with one run and 3 hits over 5 1/3 innings in his second start. He struck out 7 and walked 2. Up next for the Mets, they head to San Fran for the opener of a 4-game weekend set against the Giants tonight. First pitch is scheduled for 9:45 p.m. with the lefty David Peterson set to start for New York. Head to the hardwood in Memphis. OG Anunoby had 25 points and 13 rebounds. Karl Anthony Towns had 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists for his 4th triple-double of the season. And the Knicks beat the Grizzlies 130-119. Mikal Bridges added 24 as New York snapped a 3-game losing streak. And the Knicks, sit in 3rd place in the Eastern Conference, a game and a half ahead of the Cavaliers, who were idle last night. Up next for the Knicks, will return home to host the Chicago Bulls tomorrow night. On the ice tonight, 2 games to look forward to. Rangers are welcoming the Canadiens at 7, and at 7:30, the Devils will host the Capitals. And some news out of the NFL. Los Angeles Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua has checked into rehab. His attorney, Levi McCatherine, told the California Post yesterday. Last month, a woman in Los Angeles filed a lawsuit against Nacua, alleging he made a, quote, unprovoked anti-Semitic statement on New Year's Eve and later bit her on the shoulder. Quote, he was in rehab a substantial period of time before any of these allegations broke, and he's scheduled to be there for a while longer, McCatherine told the Post. The attorney said Nacua is going to rehab in an attempt to, quote, improve his overall behavior in every aspect of his life, and will complete the program in plenty of time to be involved in all of Rams' OTAs. So some of that weird behavior from the star wide receiver that you've been seeing on social media and out at nightclubs over the past few months, maybe he's working on that. No,
well, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I would say so.
It was really weird.
It was getting weird for a while there. So good on Puka for going to get some help. And that's your sports. I'm Justin Ellick, 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 520. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon is thinking about mounting a run for the White House.
If I wanted to, I know people are going to think I'm crazy. This is going to be the headline, and people are going to laugh about it. I think I could be president of the United States. I could definitely run this country better than Donald Trump.
Former CNN anchor turned content creator Don Lemon says he has thought about running for president. On his podcast, the former TV host said if the right opportunity came along, he would hit the campaign trail.
As an independent, though, there would be a hard time for me to run for anything because, you know, the way the system is set up, I'd have to choose a side. And so, you know, I probably would have to become a Democrat.
Meanwhile, Lemon is still facing a federal civil rights case over an anti-ICE protest at a Minnesota church back in January. He has pleaded not guilty. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
Infamous serial killer Ted Bundy, he's been linked now to another murder.
Bundy was executed in 1989 for the murder of a 12-year-old girl and is believed to have killed dozens of women during the 1970s. On Wednesday, Utah officials said they were closing a decades-old case after finding definitive proof that Bundy killed a 17-year-old Utah girl. The girl went missing in October of 1974 after leaving a party, and her body was found on Thanksgiving Day in a canyon south of Salt Lake City. Officials have now determined that DNA pulled from the teen's body belonged to Bundy. I'm Mark Mayfield.
WABC News Time 521. Let's head out to California, where the Sierra Nevada snowpack, which supplies about a third of the state's water, is just at 18% now. They're really worried about a water shortage in California.
That's also the second driest in 24 years of record since we've been calculating it. If we use snow courses as a reference, this is also the second lowest snowpack in about 75 years, since 1950.
Frightening. That's Andy Rising with the Department of Water Resources. The lowest was back in 2015 at 5%. Snow levels are supposed to be at their annual peak at this time of year. April's measurement, the last of the water year, helps predict how much water will be available for the state, and that's why they're so nervous now.
And we have it to manage really for the next 6 months or so until we hit October. It's the combination of rain and limited snow and warmer temperatures in March that are setting us up for what will be a challenging year for water management in the state.
Right, you heard that right, though. They say they think they have just enough water through October. And after that, they say they'll be relying on an early start to the rainy season to fill in what it doesn't fill in now, which is frightening for people in California. Employment in the private sector expanding as more than 60,000 jobs were added in March.
The payroll management company ADP highlighted the findings in its new report, while noting that increases in pay and hiring were leveled. Smaller employers are believed to be behind the recent increases in jobs. The company's chief economist also indicated that job growth continues to favor certain industries, including healthcare. I'm Mark Mayfield.
All Hershey's and Reese's chocolate products going to be made with classic recipes starting next year.
The Hershey Company has announced plans to bring all products in line with their classic milk and dark chocolate recipes. Hershey noted the change will only affect a small portion of remaining products, and the core recipes for its iconic Hershey's chocolate bars and Reese's peanut butter cups will still be the same. The announcement comes after the grandson of Reese's founder, H.B. Reese, made a social media post accusing Hershey of changing his family's formula to a chocolate compound coating back in February. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Let's head down to Georgia. 3 University of Georgia students being treated for possible rabies after encountering a bat in their off-campus apartment.
It is not fun. I had to get 8 shots all around my body the first time, and then we had 3 more appointments after that for additional shots.
It feels like something that would happen in college. She blames the complex for not having the bats tested once they were removed by the maintenance staff. They found the bat in a kitchen area on this campus apartment.
I zoomed in a video on my phone and we saw its little paws and feet.
Yes, so now they're getting tons of shots.
If the bats tested negative for rabies, we wouldn't have to go through the long and painful process of treatment.
Yeah, not fun. 525, a Manhattan federal judge has ruled that Elon Musk must face a class action suit over his late disclosure of his March 2022 stake in Twitter.
U.S. District Judge Andrew Carter sided with the Oklahoma Firefighters Pension and Retirement System, which said Musk ignored SEC deadlines to reveal how much Twitter he'd bought. It claims Musk cheated them because they sold Twitter shares at depressed prices while waiting to find out. Musk denies that his actions caused prices to slump, but the judge's decision forces the world's richest person to face a class action suit that could cost him more than if he were sued individually. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
525, TikTok, Cameo, partnering up now.
U.S.-based TikTok creators can now sell personalized Cameo videos directly through the TikTok app, letting fans request custom messages for a fee without leaving the platform. Creators who already use Cameo can link their accounts to TikTok. The move comes as TikTok creators have become one of the fastest-growing talent categories on Cameo. I'm Matt Mattinson.
WABC News Time 526. Christopher North, keyboardist, founding member of the soft rock group Ambrosia, is dead at 75. The band wrote that he faced health challenges recent years, including a battle with throat cancer. The band said he was a founding member since 1970, was a keyboard wizard who brought an unmatched, they say, intensity, emotional depth to every performance. Following their formation in 1970, Ambrosia had a string of top 40 hits. You'll probably remember them, including How Much I Feel and Biggest Part of Me.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, April 2nd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Rain this morning, clouds this afternoon, cooler than it has been. The high just 50. Tonight and overnight, cloudy, low 42. And then Friday, we'll see morning clouds, afternoon sunshine for the Yankee home opener, the high 64. If you're walking out the door with us right now, it's 47 and cloudy in New Rochelle up in Westchester, 46 and cloudy in Egg Harbor over in New Jersey, and it's 48 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 540. Just as such a distressing story out of Williamsburg, Brooklyn. A 7-month-old baby girl hit and killed by a stray bullet middle of the day yesterday. Her mom was pushing her in her stroller. She had just learned to say mama. That's what the baby's heartbroken family revealed. Her name is Kaori. She was seated with her brother in a double stroller when all of a sudden this bullet went off. This was right near Moore Street, East Williamsburg. The baby was shot and killed right near that corner. There were a ton of eyewitnesses because it was the middle of the day. This happened about 1:30.
I thought it was fireworks, but then it hit me in my leg. I got like little metal pieces on my leg.
Yeah, so Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch says the video shows that 2 men on a scooter were involved. One of them was seen on video with the gun firing at least 2 rounds near this street corner.
He is the subject of a massive NYPD manhunt, and all New York City police officers have a very clear picture of this outstanding suspect on their phones. In addition, NYPD bloodhounds are currently working to track his movements.
So it wasn't just the infant that was killed, but the 2-year-old who was in the stroller next to her, he was grazed by a bullet in his back. And apparently he's been asking for his sister ever since she was fatally shot. So 1 man is in custody. As you heard from Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, they're still looking for the other, and they'll catch up with them. Here was Mayor Mamdani, who was part of this press conference at the scene yesterday.
There are no words that can mend the heartbreak this family is feeling now. No declaration strong enough to lift the grief they are now forced to carry. No embrace wide enough to heal the hole that has been left in their lives.
Yeah, it is just heart-wrenching. 542 out to Queens. An explosive verdict reached last night in the murder of hero NYPD cop Jonathan Diller, with the jury acquitting the gunman of the top charge of first-degree murder and settling on manslaughter. 36-year-old Guy Rivera, who fatally shot the officer and married dad outside a cell phone store in Queens 2 years ago, convicted on all of the lesser charges, including aggravated manslaughter, attempted murder of Diller's partner, and weapons rapes. But the Police Benevolent Association, the Queens DA, upset that he didn't get hit with the top charge.
Shocked and devastated. There is no doubt, the facts were there.
He pushed it right against Sergeant Rosen's chest, and he tried pulling the trigger. It's a miracle that Sergeant Rosen is still here with us, and thankfully, the gun jammed. During
his closing arguments, the defense attorney, Jamal Johnson, claimed that Rivera did not intend to shoot and kill Diller. He tried to sway jurors away from the top charge by insisting that the prosecution failed to establish beyond a reasonable doubt that his client meant to kill Diller, which was required for a murder conviction. And apparently, it worked because he didn't get charged with that. The attempted murder charge, though, carries the longest potential sentence of the 4 counts the jury convicted Rivera of, which means he'll never get out of jail, but he just wasn't convicted of murder. Here is DA Melinda Katz last night.
I stand here today proud of that verdict. Guy Rivera will face at a maximum of 90 years to life as a sentence for all of the crimes that he was convicted of today.
And here was the Police Benevolent Association President Patrick Hendry, who was outside the courthouse last night.
We are grateful that, he's going to spend the rest of his life behind bars. We're grateful for the DA and her entire team, but it hurts.
5:44, police continue to investigate a murder outside Central Park that took place Tuesday night. Police got a 911 call. This was about 10:30 at night about shots fired right at West 110th Street near the subway station, and they found this man dead on the ground.
Scary. That's what I got to say. Some dried up blood right here and some more blood around here.
Yeah, 36-year-old shot multiple times. He had died at the hospital. The victim still hasn't been identified. Police say a dog leash was found on the ground and that a maintenance worker at a nearby building was seen scrubbing blood from the sidewalk yesterday, but so far, no sign of the murder. In a moment, we'll tell you about the budget battle that is going on between the city council and Mayor Mamdani. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Hello, can you hear me, Noam Layden?
You are loud and clear this time.
To Noam
Yes.
Layden.
You sound like the astronauts.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool yesterday, wasn't it?
It was.
Artemis 2. Do you think they're at the moon yet?
No, it's going to... April 6th they'll be there.
Oh, it takes a few days.
Yeah. Well, it's far.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, it looks close, but it's kind of far away.
Yeah, because they're not just driving across the country, are
No.
It just depends on traffic, Justin.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're driving to Florida, that takes like a whole day to get there.
Yeah, no, you got all these intersections out in space.
Yeah.
Traffic lights,
Waze is good.
Yeah.
Tell you
right?
you can avoid some of
It'll tell you
what's going on.
The quickest route, right? Let's start on the diamond out in Seattle. Cam Schlittler, he was great once again. Pitch shutout ball into the seventh inning. Paul Goldschmidt hit a 3-run homer, and the Yankees beat the Mariners 5-3, taking the series 2-1. Ben Rice also homered and had an RBI double for the Yanks, who finished 5-1 on their West Coast trip to begin the season. Schlittler yielded 2 hits in 6 1/3 innings and retired his last 16 batters, extending his scoreless start to the season. He struck out 7 and walked none. 79 pitches, 58 of them were strikes. The Yankees play their home opener tomorrow afternoon against the Miami Marlins after an off day today. Out in St. Louis, the Mets lost 2-1 in 11 innings in the rubber game finale of their 3-game set against the Cardinals. They went 1 for 29 with runners in scoring position during the series, including 0 for 11 in the finale. They're batting 162 in those situations this year. You've got to get that number up. Juan Soto homered for the Mets in the 6th. Freddie Peralta was charged with 1 run and 3 hits over 5 1/3 innings in his second start. He struck out 7 and walked 2. Up next for the Mets, they head to San Francisco for the opener of a 4-game weekend set against the Giants tonight. First pitch is scheduled for 9:45 p.m. The lefty David Peterson set to start for New York. Set to the hardwood in Memphis, OG Anunoby had 25 points and 13 rebounds. Karl Anthony Towns had 20, 11, and 11 for his 4th triple-double of the season. And the Knicks beat the Grizzlies 130-119. Mikal Bridges added 24 points as New York snapped a 3-game losing streak. The Knicks sit in 3rd place in the Eastern Conference, a game and a half ahead of the Cavaliers, who were off last night. Up next for the Knicks, they'll return home to host the Chicago Bulls tomorrow night. Couple of games on the ice tonight to look forward to. Rangers are welcoming the Canadiens at 7 p.m. And out in Jersey, the Devils will host the Capitals at 7:30. And some offseason NFL news regarding the LA Rams and star wide receiver Puka Nacua. He has checked into rehab, according to his attorney Levi McCatherine. Told the California Post yesterday. Last month, a woman in Los Angeles filed a lawsuit against Nacua, alleging he, quote, made unprovoked anti-Semitic statements on New Year's Eve and later bit her on the shoulder. He was in rehab a substantial period of time before any of these allegations broke, and he's scheduled to be there for a while longer, according to McCatherine. The attorney said Nacua is going to rehab in an attempt to, quote, improve his overall behavior in every aspect of his life, and will complete the program in plenty of time to be involved in all of the Rams OTAs. That's your sports.
I always love when they go away, they make an anti-Semitic comment and they're like, oh yeah, I was drunk or high.
Yeah, exactly. It's my
like a Mel Gibson defense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. So we'll see if it sticks. But, during the season, if I see Puka Nacua out on a Saturday night.
Yeah, we know who you are. It's
exactly.
fine.
Yeah.
All right, so you're an anti-Semite. Well, it's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Just
a football player.
All right, we know how Noam Layden feels about it. That's your sports Noam. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:50. Marine biologists now investigating what caused the death of a humpback whale, another one that washed up this time on Sandy Hook in New Jersey yesterday.
Researchers at the Jersey Shore
shore-based Marine Mammal Stranding Center said the 30-foot-long humpback was first spotted floating in the ocean just before 8 a.m. Wednesday, and waves pushed it to the beach about 30 minutes later. Now, folks at the nonprofit Stranding Center are planning on trying to figure out what killed the whale and also removing the carcass from Sandy Hook. This is the second dead whale the Stranding Center has reported so far this year. I'm Levon Putney.
City Council says they have a realistic plan to close the multi-billion-dollar budget gap, one that avoids property tax hikes, cuts to essential services. City Council Speaker Julie Menin argues that the smarter budgeting could unlock roughly $6 billion in savings over the next 2 years. So yesterday they released their own plan for filling the city's $5.4 billion budget deficit over the next 2 fiscal years, mostly through re-estimating the city's revenue and spending. Well, here was Julie Menin yesterday.
So our position has been clear. We have been a hard no on the property tax. We also are a hard no on raiding the rainy day fund.
You know, we remember Mayor Zoran Mamdani. He had this last resort proposal to raise the city's property tax rate by 9.5% across the board. And the city council members say, no, that's not going to happen. We have to find another way to do it. But Mayor Mamdani says this plan the city council's come up with is no good either.
The Speaker's $6 billion proposal asks Albany for one thing: class size mandate relief. It refuses to address the deeper structural imbalance between the city and the state, or to increase taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers and most profitable corporations. It effectively ensures this structural deficit will continue indefinitely.
Yeah, so the property tax is one major revenue source that the city directly controls, so they could increase it and make money that way. But of course, doing so would be politically unpopular for the mayor. The city council is also calling on the city to recognize $42 million and more in rent from the Port Authority from the city airports as another revenue source. While we're talking about the mayor, he says the city launching a first-of-its-kind map and website where parents can find childcare options.
Mamdani says it'll mean no more scrambling for locations, costs, or relying on Facebook to find the right program for your child. He says the city's put together a comprehensive list of every licensed childcare center across all 5 boroughs, and that's not all.
You can find the health inspection of all of these sites. You can find home-based providers, school-based providers, center-based providers.
All you have to do is go to nyc.gov/childcare. The mayor says it's the latest step toward bringing universal childcare to all city kids. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
NYU, they now are going to temporarily close their campus in Abu Dhabi following Iran saying U.S. universities in the Middle East are now legitimate targets for them.
Classes were already moved fully online last month, with other U.S. universities in the region also temporarily closing or moving to remote schedules. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps also threatened on Tuesday to strike 18 U.S. tech companies operating in the Middle East, including Google, Apple, and Microsoft. In New York, I'm Andrew Whitman.
You know, it's been 5 years since New York legalized weed. It's hard to imagine it's been 5 years, and it seems less than that. But even though New Yorkers say they would have never known the exact anniversary, they definitely notice that more people are freely smoking weed out in the open, kind of no matter where you go.
God forbid a kid gets high. That's bad especially for kids. That's bad.
They should have thought about it. They should have had restrictions. Maybe they should have had certain locations, certain times. You can't smoke close to a school and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm walking through one of those weed clouds kind of no matter where I go. New York's cannabis market has generated about $3 billion in total retail sales since it was first legalized all those years ago.
I can't stand that smell, especially in a building that I'm in. Sometimes that smell is so strong, it gets into the building that sometimes I'm like, what the hell?
When you come outside, all you smell is weed.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of people smell like it.
Yeah, they do. Governor Hochul celebrated the 5-year anniversary yesterday by touting the fact that there are more than 600 licensed dispensaries across the state right now. A rideshare company may be working outside the legal limits in New York.
The city is pumping the brakes on Empower, a rideshare app similar to Uber or Lyft.
The app is known for having cheaper rates, but now they are being sued by the city for allegedly operating without a license.
Well, a coworker had told me about it, and I downloaded it, and then I used it to help me move.
The lawsuit claims the company has not filed for the proper TLC license. Joshua Sear, Empower CEO, spoke to the city council last month.
Last week alone, over 10,000 drivers using our software and services provided over 500,000 rides. That includes over 100,000 rides in New York City.
Empower riders don't face any fines, but they may have some insurance issues in the case of a crash.
Yeah, the price is great, but if something goes wrong, what is it actually going to end up costing me?
I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
And we'll end this hour out of Long Island. A Long Island high schooler, his mom being credited with saving a neighbor from a house fire. Ninth grader Giovanni Moss was in the right place at the right time Tuesday morning as he was waiting for the school bus outside his house in Melville. And he turned around, and his neighbor's house was completely engulfed in flames. So he called his mom, said, "What should I do?"
I heard the sound of the fire. I heard the sound of the crackling of the house and stuff like that. And then I turned and looked, and then I seen it.
He just said, "Mom, the house across the street is on fire. What should I do? Should I go over there, or should I just call 911?
Giovanni called 911. His mom, Natasha, she sprinted to wake up her sleeping neighbor.
I'm banging on the windows. I'm banging on the door. I'm ringing the doorbell. Your house is on fire. Your house is on fire. And she's not hearing me. And I'm banging the windows. And with no sneakers on or nothing, I just kept kicking the door. I kept kicking the door.
Yeah, I mean, she's really a hero. She was barefoot, and she kicks the doors off its hinges to get inside to her neighbor, who was still unaware that her house was on fire.
And I said, "Your house is on fire." And I grabbed her. The heat was like overpowering.
And she saved her life. So Giovanni, his mom, being called heroes, but they say it's no big deal.
A lot of people calling me hero. I was like, I'm not really a hero. I'm just being a good neighbor.
Take out the AirPods. Keep your phone in your pocket until you get on that bus.
Be aware of everything around you. Anything can happen.
She said she taught her son situational awareness, because kids just don't have that today, and that's the reason he saw this house fire, saved his neighbor. The house was a total loss, but the neighbor's still alive, and they definitely are heroes.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Why is the middle class shrinking? Why are people facing an affordability crisis while marginalized individuals called informals grow in numbers? Join me as I travel the world, speaking with people living in invisibility, the leaders working to solve it, and uncovering the hard truths shaping our economy and daily reality.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.